If Cambodia has aspirations, it's for nothing less than the splendor of King Norodom Sihanouk's golden era, when the capital was known as the Pearl of Asia. You can feel it in the bustling streets, where the tourists dance all night in the clubs, and the rich search for new styles in the malls and boutique fashion shops. They say you can spot growth from how many cranes are in a city, signifying the building of new, expensive high-rise structures. Tourism and foreign investment in Cambodia are growing rapidly year by year. The people in the ruling government have money to burn, it seems. Many have more than 2 homes, drive luxury cars, and dine at the finest restaurants while shopping in malls that could fit into Singapore, Hong Kong, or Bangkok. For foreigners and rich Khmer, Phnom Penh has become a wonderful playground. According to USAID, nearly 80% of Cambodians live in rural areas, and 70% rely on agriculture, fisheries, and forestry for their livelihoods. But 1/4 of Cambodians are food deprived, which means they eat less than the minimum daily requirement of calories. The government likes to use the income figure of $34.50 per month to designate whether a person is actually poor or not. These are 2004 numbers. They don't account for all the inflation in the last 10 years, or the fact that food and housing and everything has gone up so much in that time. So that number should probably be around $69 per month if we convert it to 2014 numbers. And in actuality, the number of people who live on less than $69 per month in Cambodia grew to 8.1 million in 2011 from only 4.6 million in 2004. So despite the middle class and rich we see in Phnom Penh, in reality, things are worse for Cambodians as a whole. One of the big things that's destroying family life in the villages in Cambodia is that people must migrate for work to send money home. But this is never a sure solution. Human Rights Watch recently reported that Cambodians working on Thai fishing boats were routinely subject to extortion and abuse. There are numerous incidents of women being lured into promising jobs only to find out when they get there that their passports are taken and they're forced into prostitution. And migration, of course, splits families apart and leaves villages with little children and only old people to take care of them. Does this rising tide float all boats? It turns out, according to ministry data, the majority of these new buildings and businesses are owned by foreign investors from South Korea, China, Britain, Japan, or Thailand. They're investing money to take out of the country. They hire Cambodian laborers to build their buildings, at close to slave labor wages, and provide little safety equipment or medical coverage. What about at the fancy restaurants? I've interviewed restaurant workers and been told over and over that the average restaurant worker starts at $60 a month for 12 hours a day of work, 30 days per month, and if they're lucky, all the food that they could eat that's left over on customers' plates. Most massage workers get $1 per massage, averaging $60 per month plus tips for working 16 hours a day. Many in desperation turn to sex work. Teachers' starting pay is somewhere around $30 a month. The government's trying to give them a little more. But it peaks at about $100 a month for long-term teachers. So they charge students for tests, grades, and content to try to make a living. Cambodians, it seems, have become the slave labor of the world, and especially for Asian investors. Every year, there are more illegal migrant workers than the year before. Rights groups and economists have cautioned that limited job opportunities and insecure land tenure have increasingly pushed Cambodians to seek work in foreign countries. Meanwhile, Cambodians in the countryside are extremely vulnerable to flood or drought and the effects of global warming, and now the damming of the Mekong River. Many of the rich are foreigners. The U.S. and other embassies pay upwards of $3,500 a month for luxury homes for their staff, provide SUVs, drivers, and guards. NGOs drive fancy cars, rent nice homes, while they have Cambodians cook their meals, guard their property, and watch their children. Foreign business people bring in high-paid skilled workers from their own countries, which just increases the demand for low-end service jobs. And tourism, of course, fuels the need for maids, guards, and cooks, while much of the actual profits go back to China, Korea, and elsewhere. So here are some questions that I've been thinking about.